Hello, and thanks again for tuning in this week. I'm David Rugg. I'm a local activist here in Minnesota's 2nd Congressional District. This is my legislative update for July 22nd through the 26th. Looks like it's going to be a very busy week in the 116th Congress, which is the last work week before the long summer recess, and then they'll be back in September. It looks like the Senate will start their work on Mark Esper's nomination for Secretary of Defense, and they will also consider a bill that is intended to permanently authorize the Victims' Compensation Fund for the 9/11 first responders. You may have heard in the news that the Senate was going to pass that by unanimous consent, but there were a couple of senators who objected for a couple of different reasons, and so now the Senate is likely to take that up for a floor vote. The House has already passed their version of that bill. The Senate will also debate on the nomination of Stephen Dixon to be the FAA administrator, and there are a couple of other circuit court judges that will likely be on the calendar this week for the Senate. The House also has a very busy week. They've got over 34 bills and a couple of resolutions to work on this week. The majority of those will be done under the suspension of the rules and likely to pass by voice votes, or if recorded vote is requested by two-thirds majority. The bulk of those bills fall into the categories of science, space, and technology, foreign affairs, veterans affairs, the judiciary, transportation infrastructure, and energy and commerce. And there also are a couple of building designation bills as well. There are a couple of bills, though, that I'd like to highlight that are scheduled for recorded votes, where they'll get extended debate. The first of those is H.R. 397. H.R. 397 will establish the Pension Rehabilitation Administration. Basically a new organization, and the intent is to make loans to certain multi-employer pension funds. Interesting bill. Not sure it'll make it to the Senate floor, but likely to pass by a recorded vote. That's H.R. 397. And H.R. 3239 is a bill that will require the Customs and Border Patrol to perform initial health screenings on their detainees. We've all seen in the news the conditions that are currently happening at the southern border, and this bill is intended to get the Border Patrol to take a more active role in determining the health of their detainees. Once again, this is likely to pass by a recorded vote, but not likely to make it to the Senate. If you want to see more detail on those bills or the large number that will be voted by voice votes, you can go to majorityleader.gov. Majority Leader, one string of text, .gov, and you can link to any of those bills and see more detail. There are over 60 committee hearings again this week, a large number of hearings. If you want to see those in more detail, you can go to congress.gov, and in the middle of the page, you'll see a link to committee schedules, and you can look at those hearings on each of the days next week, starting on Tuesday. My representative in the 2nd District of Minnesota is involved in 3 of those hearings that I'll be paying attention to. The first is on Wednesday. It's a small business hearing. They have a witness panel to look at the Tax Cut and Jobs Act and see what its impact was on small business. And on Thursday, there are 2 transportation and infrastructure hearings, subcommittee hearings, one on railroad shippers, a roundtable actually, discussing railroad shipping, and a subcommittee hearing on school bus safety. Both of those are on Thursday. There also are a couple of very large hearings that my representative is not part of, but I think that will be very interesting. On Tuesday, the Senate Judiciary Committee will be meeting with the FBI director, talking about the FBI. That's likely to make the news, and we'll see what happens there. And the one that a lot of people have been waiting for is the Mueller hearing on Wednesday with the House Intelligence Committee. Again, very interesting to see what comes out of there. Some of those summaries you can get, again, on majorityleader.gov or congress.gov. Also, the information can be found in a little bit more detail on countable.us. Countable.us will have a nice summary of the week in Congress as well. I hope you get a chance to meet with your representatives next week in the long summer recess to get a chance to dialogue with your member of Congress. I know I'll be doing that, and we will see you again in September. Thanks so much for tuning in.